Angel Reese and her Chicago Sky brethren got absolutely obliterated by the Atlanta Dream last night.
Last night, something chilling happened on the court that shook the WNBA. A rising star, once celebrated for her magnetic presence, was visibly, undeniably frozen out by her own teammates. The Chicago Sky didn't just suffer a humiliating defeat to the Atlanta Dream. They imploded in a way that exposed a deeper, more disturbing truth about their future. This wasn't just a loss, it was a public spectacle of mistrust, a team on the brink, and a franchise facing an unprecedented crisis. Was this one game proof she's no longer the player they can count on? We're tearing apart the shocking collapse, the baffling reasons behind her puzzling performance, and the unsettling questions about what truly went down. The story here is far more complex, far more explosive, and far more concerning than any box score could ever hint at. Get ready.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to talk about the things called Angel Reese and the WNBA. This is actually starting to make the rounds.
The air in the arena crackled with anticipation as the Chicago Sky faced the Atlanta Dream, but what unfolded was less a competitive game and more a systematic, calculated demolition. Rhyne Howard didn't just play well, she orchestrated a relentless, surgical assault on the Sky's defense, delivering a performance so dominant it instantly etched itself into the record books. She dropped an explosive 36 points, a scoring clinic so precise, it left absolutely no doubt who commanded the court, who truly controlled every inch of the hardwood. But it wasn't merely the sheer volume of points, it was the dizzying, near-perfect execution of her 9 three-pointers, a monumental feat that tied the all-time WNBA record. This was a historic, once-in-a-lifetime performance that should have been the undisputed talk of the league, yet it was overshadowed by the drama it ignited. The moment she started heating up, a silent, almost eerie transformation took hold. It was as if the Chicago Sky, as a collective unit, simply forgot how to defend, how to rotate, how to communicate. Every movement from Howard was precise, every shot intentional, every drive a calculated blow. She wasn't merely scoring, she was dictating the entire pace of the game, pulling apart their defense with chilling surgical precision, exposing every glaring, undeniable gap in their strategy and execution. It wasn't merely a good night for her, it was a masterclass in offensive dominance, a textbook example of how one player can, with sheer will and skill, completely obliterate an entire team's meticulously planned defensive scheme.
Rhyne Howard, holy moly. Yeah, I said holy moly, flashing back to the 1950s. By the way, I wasn't alive, okay? I'm just letting you know. She destroyed everybody. Everybody.
Think about the sheer weight of it. 9 triples. That represents 9 separate damning instances of the Sky failing, utterly failing to contain her, to even slow her down. Time and time again, defenders hesitated, gave her far too much space, or simply couldn't keep up with her relentless, intelligent off-ball movement that carved through their stagnant defense. There was one stretch in the second quarter that will undoubtedly haunt Chicago fans and coaches for seasons to come. Howard drilled back-to-back threes that didn't just score points. They delivered a psychological hammer blow that completely crushed the Sky's momentum, ripping away any fragile hope they had of staying competitive. Those 2 dagger shots didn't just widen the gap on the scoreboard, they visibly rattled Chicago, leaving them disoriented, visibly deflated, and desperately searching for answers that never came. By that point, everyone in the building, every single fan watching, knew with absolute certainty that the ball was going to her, yet the Sky, bafflingly and inexplicably, still couldn't figure out how to make it stop, how to adjust, how to even try. Her shooting wasn't the sole problem for Chicago either. Howard didn't force her offense. She was both incredibly efficient and perfectly in sync with her teammates, reading the defense flawlessly.
Rhyne Howard last night. Let's start with her because she deserves it. 12 of 25, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 36 points. That is what you call scorching planet Earth.
When the Sky, in desperation, tried to double team her, she calmly, without hesitation, found an open teammate, creating easy opportunities for others. When they didn't, she simply punished them with another devastating bucket, a clinical reminder of their defensive lapses. The sheer confidence she played with made it clear from the jump. Howard wasn't just having a hot streak, she was completely in control, dictating terms, executing flawlessly, and leaving the Sky in her dust. It wasn't just just the 36 points or the record-tying night that made this performance so incredible. It was how she meticulously picked apart the Sky's defense, possession by possession, exposing vulnerabilities on every single level. The Sky looked utterly unprepared, almost bewildered to handle her brilliance. What's even crazier, what truly speaks volumes about the Sky's disarray, is how much Howard's individual dominance overshadowed an already disorganized, disjointed Sky team. While she knocked down those 9 triples, Chicago simply couldn't respond, couldn't find an answer on either end of the court, sinking further into their own self-inflicted chaos. Rhyne Howard didn't just beat the Chicago Sky, she obliterated them, leaving nothing but wreckage and a trail of unsettling questions in her wake. But her triumph was merely the opening act for a far more dramatic internal implosion.
She was bananas last night, folks. Absolutely bananas. And there is a key stat here. Her 9 3-pointers. She made 9 3-pointers last night. And she tied the all-time WNBA record. By the way, Kelsey Mitchell is also tied in that record as well.
As dazzling as Rhyne Howard's performance was, it merely set the stage for an even more perplexing and ultimately more disturbing revelation concerning the Chicago Sky's own marquee player. You might find yourself asking, is the magnetic star truly the problem here? After all, she's one of the most talked about players on the roster, a media darling with a seemingly boundless following. But watching her performance in this game with an unbiased eye, there's no denying the glaring red flags that unfurled before everyone's eyes. Let's start with something that truly stood out, something that sent shockwaves through the broadcast and instantly ignited online discussions. Her own teammates seemed strangely reluctant, almost unwilling to get her involved in the offense. This wasn't just an isolated incident or 1 or 2 unfortunate missed passes. This was a disturbing, pervasive pattern that continued throughout the entire night, especially in crucial, game-defining moments. Even when Reese was wide open in the post, in prime scoring position near the rim, practically begging for the ball with her positioning, the ball simply eerily didn't find her. It was a bizarre, almost deliberate disconnect that spoke volumes.
So Rhyne Howard just obliterated Angel Reese in the Chicago Sky, and Angel Reese is still doing Angel Reese things. Again, she should never in her life take 10 shots from the field. She should take like 6, 5 or 6, maybe.
This brings us to one of the most jaw-dropping, viral moments of the entire game, a play that encapsulated the unfolding drama and instantly became the subject of intense debate. At one point, with plenty of time still left on the shot clock, Reese had perfect, undeniable positioning directly near the rim, a clear and present scoring opportunity. Yet to the bewilderment of spectators and commentators alike, the possession ended not with a pass to her, but with a desperate last-second bailout three-point attempt by another player, launched from far beyond the arc, nowhere near the basket. Watching it unfold, you couldn't help but notice the palpable disconnect, the lack of communication, the unsettling, almost chilling lack of trust that permeated the court. It was as if her teammates actively chose to waste a valuable possession to incur a shot clock violation rather than feed their supposed star in a high percentage scoring situation. And let's be brutally honest, when a professional basketball team, a unit built on teamwork and cohesion, visibly struggles to pass to their star player in key moments, when they actively avoid involving them, it's rarely, if ever, an accident or mere oversight.
Behind Rhyne Howard's beast of a game, 36 points, 12 for 25, nearly 50%, 9 for 19 from the three-point line. Rhyne Howard shooting 19 threes by herself in a basketball game. That's insanity.
That distinct lack of trust wasn't just visible on offense either. Defensively, the synergy, the vital chemistry just wasn't there, leading to repeated defensive breakdowns and easy points for Atlanta. It paints a chilling, uncomfortable picture of an internal struggle, a profound breakdown in fundamental team dynamics where the most basic tenets of basketball, passing to an open teammate, capitalizing on advantageous matchups, seem to have been abandoned when it comes to the star player. This wasn't a simple coaching error. This felt like a deliberate, collective choice by the players on the floor, and it raises profound, unsettling questions about what's truly happening behind the scenes. What unspoken tensions are simmering just beneath the surface?
Of course, the Chicago Bravado, they still got their ass kicked, but that doesn't matter. All that matters to the lonely men who follow Angel Reese on social media is that she looks good.
So, the glaring question remains, why would a star player's teammates seemingly freeze her out, deliberately bypass her even when she's open? The answer, at least in part, lies in a brutal, undeniable truth, her alarming, almost unbelievable inefficiency. We're talking about a player who is currently shooting just 36% on shots taken from within 5 feet of the basket. Let that staggering statistic truly sink in. That's not just bad, it's an abysmal league worst percentage for a player in her position. A shocking indictment of her finishing ability. These aren't complex contested jumpers from downtown we're discussing. These are layups. These are point blank shots, high percentage opportunities that professional basketball players, especially those with the physical gifts of a star player, are expected, demanded to convert almost automatically. When you repeatedly miss opportunities that close to the rim, opportunities that should be automatic points, you're not merely failing to score, you're effectively handing the other team an easy out, a psychological boost, and quite literally sucking the very energy, the lifeblood out of your own squad. There was one particular shot she put up last night that genuinely and horrifyingly should be studied in a lab, a baffling off-balance attempt that left everyone scratching their heads in disbelief, a shot that felt like watching a basketball from a horror movie, something you just want to set on fire to prevent it from destroying the population.
An excellent performance from Angel Reese. It is rare. It's like seeing a hole-in-one on a par 5, or locating a flea on an elephant's ass without a microscope.
These repeatedly missed chances aren't just adding up on the stat sheet, becoming a numerical stain on her record. They're creating a devastating ripple effect that impacts the entire team's confidence, their offensive flow, and their overall morale. Every failed layup is a possession wasted, a crucial opportunity squandered, and a direct contribution to the opponent's transition game, fueling their runs. Now, you absolutely cannot overlook how this plays into the bigger picture, the larger narrative that has been built around her. The star player isn't just any player. She burst into this league with a tsunami of massive expectations, a relentless, almost overwhelming media narrative surrounding her every move, and endorsement deals that other players, grinding just as hard with often superior on-court production, simply don't get. For teammates who are battling, sacrificing, putting in the gritty work every single game, yet seeing the overwhelming media attention, the massive financial rewards, the celebrity status, all gravitate disproportionately towards someone who, in these critical moments, is visibly struggling with basic efficiency. You have to wonder, does this inevitably create resentment? Does it breed a quiet, simmering anger? Someone on social media encapsulated it perfectly, perhaps brutally, saying, "Angel Reese plays like Patrick Ewing when the Monsters took his talent, and I can't unsee it now."
That brings us to Angel Reese. Angel Reese was so bad last night that at one point her teammates decided they'd rather take a shot clock violation than actually pass her the ball.
The intense focus on the star, the constant off-court conversations, the celebrity status, all of this could very well explain some of this unsettling disconnect, this on-court alienation. When you're celebrated as a star, when the entire team's brand and public identity are built around you, but then you visibly fail to deliver in critical games, it's going to cause profound tension, especially on a team that's desperate to stay competitive, desperate to win, desperate to prove itself. It's a dynamic that breeds frustration, fosters disillusionment, and it helps to explain why a player like Camila Cardoso, shooting an efficient 58% from the field and delivering 15 points and 9 boards in the same game, is providing the actual tangible production the Sky desperately need, while the star struggles to find basic rhythm, basic efficiency, basic success.
Because it tried to get blurry on us. All right, there we go. And yeah, they just 4, 3, 2, nothing. Good defense too, by the way.
The blinding glare of the spotlight, it seems, has undeniably become a double-edged sword for the star player. While her burgeoning celebrity status has brought unprecedented attention to the WNBA, undeniably growing its audience, it has simultaneously created an almost unbearable, crushing pressure for her, and perhaps an unspoken corrosive animosity within her own locker room. When you're relentlessly pushed as the singular face of the franchise, when your every move is scrutinized, analyzed, and monetized to an extreme degree, 3, yet your on-court performance doesn't consistently, demonstrably match the dizzying hype. It inevitably creates a chasm, a profound disconnect within the team. Imagine for a moment being a dedicated teammate, playing with grit and relentless determination, giving your absolute all every single night, battling through injuries and fatigue, yet seeing the overwhelming, disproportionate media attention, the massive endorsement deals, the celebrity level recognition, all gravitate overwhelmingly towards someone who, in crucial game-defining moments, is visibly struggling with basic efficiency. It's almost impossible not to feel a sharp sting of resentment, a deep sense of unfairness, a belief that sacrifices aren't equally valued.
She put a shot up last night that should be studied in a damn lab. Seriously. And then they just should take the shot that was put up and set it on fire like it's from The Thing, so it doesn't actually destroy the population.
This isn't merely abstract speculation, it's a natural, deeply human reaction to perceived inequity. Basketball is, at its heart, a team sport, fundamentally built on trust, shared effort, collective sacrifice, and mutual achievement. When one player's individual narrative, often driven by external off-court factors, begins to overshadow, even outright eclipse, the entire team's collective struggles and efforts, it can fester. It can become a deeply rooted, corrosive force that erodes morale. How long can a team maintain its vital chemistry, its fragile cohesion, when the external focus is so disproportionately skewed compared to the internal on-court output? The Patrick Ewing Monstars analogy, though lighthearted, isn't just a funny line. It perfectly encapsulates the uncomfortable public perception of the star right now, that her raw talent, undeniably present, feels somehow trapped, elusive, mysteriously vanished, not translating into the consistent, impactful production expected of a player of her profile and stature.
Someone on this app said Angel Reese plays like Patrick Ewing when the Monstars took his talent, and I can't unsee it now.
This feeling of an unbalanced dynamic where a player is lauded and rewarded more for their persona and marketability than their tangible, consistent on-court contribution can be incredibly corrosive to team morale. It makes it exponentially harder to build that vital, unspoken chemistry, that cohesive, selfless unit required to win at the highest level. The constant media circus surrounding the star, her omnipresent social media presence, and the relentless off-court noise are undeniable factors shaping her perception. But once you step onto the court, the likes and the retweets from those distant, often lonely men, they simply don't appear on the stat sheet. They don't provide assists, they don't set screens, and they certainly don't hold the ladder to make it easier for you to make layups. It creates a stark, sometimes painfully brutal, contrast between the perception of a star and the harsh, undeniable on-court reality. And when that reality involves repeated missed opportunities and visible frustration, it directly contributes to the palpable tension and the team's visible spiraling performance, driving a wedge between players.
Can you tell me why in the world she is putting up shots, folks, where she's literally not looking? I don't understand.
The raw frustration previously simmering beneath the surface isn't just confined to the players and their unspoken tensions. It has now erupted directly from the very top of the Chicago Sky organization, delivering a chilling public message. After the immediate aftermath of the devastating loss, head coach Tyler Marsh, in an apparent attempt to shield his star, attempted to take some of the heat off the player. He claimed they needed to do a better job creating looks for her on the court, implying a strategic failure on his part. But here's the fundamental issue with that statement, the deep, uncomfortable truth it conspicuously glosses over. Why precisely does everything need to be tailored around one player who, frankly, isn't consistently delivering, isn't reliably converting? Shouldn't a player with the star's immense profile, with her undeniable talent and the blinding spotlight she commands, be the one creating opportunities for her team, leveraging her defensive presence and offensive gravity to elevate those around her? This isn't just about a coaching strategy, it's about the fundamental structural integrity of an entire offense built around a player who isn't consistently converting, and when that intricate structure fails, everyone, from the coaching staff to the last player on the bench, feels the crushing weight of its collapse.
In case you're wondering, she was 4 for 10 for 12 points. 4 for 10, 12 points, My girl Camila Cardoso tried 7 of 12, 58% from the field, 15 points, 9 boards. Had what you actually want to see out of a big efficiency, shooting a rock.
But the most damning, definitive statement, the one that truly sent shockwaves through the league, came directly from Chicago's general manager, Jeff Pagliacca. He didn't hold back, abandoning all pretense of diplomatic language. In an incredibly rare and brutally blunt public assessment, he declared, with unnerving clarity, "We need more production out of the star player, and that's yet to come together." That's not just a subtle hint or a veiled critique, it's a direct, undeniable, and utterly public vote of no confidence. It tells you exactly how much pressure has been mounting behind the scenes, how much patience has evaporated within the front office. When an organization brings in a high-profile player, a heralded rookie, especially one with the immediate celebrity of this star, the expectation is undeniable. They will immediately elevate the team, inject new energy, and contribute significantly to winning. Right now, this player simply isn't doing that. Instead, her visible struggles on the floor, coupled with the relentless, almost suffocating glare of her off-court spotlight, are not merely unfortunate, they are actively becoming a significant, destabilizing distraction for the entire team. If this player were your typical second-year player, an unassuming rookie still finding her way, she would likely be given the invaluable benefit of time, a grace period to adapt and grow away from intense scrutiny.
If Angel Reese was your typical second-year player, she would be given the benefit of time, but she didn't want that. She wanted to be in the spotlight, and Angel Reese clearly is not ready for prime time.
But she chose a different path. She actively sought the spotlight, eagerly embraced the primetime attention, the media frenzy, and now it appears she is simply not ready for prime time, not ready for the weight that comes with it. During this brutal, humiliating loss against the Atlanta Dream, the Sky desperately needed leadership. They needed consistent, reliable production, and the star, unfortunately, demonstrably couldn't provide it. Whether it was missing those astonishingly easy layups, watching the ball pass her by into other hands, or failing to energize the players around her, the flaws were glaring, undeniable, and deeply concerning. And when a general manager feels compelled to go public with such pointed, direct criticism, it becomes abundantly, terrifyingly clear that patience is rapidly running thin, if not already exhausted entirely. This isn't just about a bad game, it's about the very real possibility of a star being deemed unmanageable, or worse, unable to perform under the very pressure she invited.
Now, to her credit, Angel Reese has taken some accountability for her disastrous season, but it appears that the Chicago bravado are running out of patience.
But as intensely bad as this game looked for the star, and as concerning as the GM's unprecedented public comments were, the Sky's problems, the fundamental flaws in their very foundation, run far, far deeper. This wasn't merely a star player having a bad night. The Chicago Sky's issues are profound, systemic, and they've been building silently, insidiously, long before this particular humiliating game. Let's talk about where this team is truly at as a franchise, beyond the individual player dramas. They're currently playing their home games at the Wintrust Arena, a modern venue that holds around 10,000 people. But you know what? They're simply not selling it out. Night after depressing night, you've got games where empty seats visibly, starkly outnumber the actual fans, and the energy in the building is often flat, devoid of passion, bordering on non-existent. It's a far cry from the packed, raucous arenas of other professional sports, and it speaks volumes about the team's current appeal, or rather, its stark lack thereof.
The Chicago Sun-Times, they spoke with the general manager of the Chicago Bravado, Jeff Pagliacca. According to Jeffrey, we need more production out of Angel Reese, and that's yet to come together.
It's easy to forget, especially with the recent surge of media attention around certain breakout players, where the WNBA used to be, and where it still struggles in many markets. Some people might accuse you of hyperbole to suggest professional basketball games were played in high school gyms, but it's often a painful reality for many teams across the league. The Atlanta Dream, for instance, a professional basketball team, literally play their home games in a converted high school gymnasium, the Gateway Center, which holds a mere 3,500 people. For a professional basketball team, that's not just a tough look, it's an embarrassing, demoralizing truth that reflects deeply on the league's broader struggles and the individual franchises. It's gotta weigh heavily on the players, on their psyche, on their motivation. How do you build any kind of championship momentum, any sense of elite professionalism, when the arena feels more like a sparsely attended practice session than a high-stakes professional game. This pervasive lack of consistent fan support feeds directly into their on-court struggles, creating a quiet, almost sterile environment that certainly doesn't scream championship contender.
I know some people, mainly WNBA players, I know they have forgotten where this dump used to be before Caitlin Clark carried them to the promised land. I know some of you think it's hyperbole when I say that pretend basketball games are played in high school gyms, but the Dreamers from Atlanta, they literally play their home games in a high school gymnasium.
But it's not just about optics, about the visual perception. It's about what that stark reality says about the organization itself, about its financial health and its appeal. A franchise that can't consistently bring in fans, that struggles to fill even smaller venues, is trapped in a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. Poor attendance translates directly to less revenue, which in turn means fewer resources to sign big talent, to improve training facilities, or to invest in crucial player development. And on the flip side, a team that isn't consistently winning, isn't playing exciting basketball, isn't going to inspire people to show up and buy tickets. It's a relentless downward spiral, a loop of mediocrity, and right now, the Chicago Sky can't seem to break free. Ironically enough, given the star player's performance last night, perhaps playing in a smaller, emptier arena was a blessing in disguise. You really don't want 3,500 people witnessing that kind of profound struggle up close, but the dreadful performance from the star isn't the true underlying story here. In many ways, it's just the norm, the unfortunate symptom of a team and perhaps a league in a much deeper crisis. The real underlying story is the Chicago Sky losing patience, not just with one player, but with their own inability to escape this spiraling, seemingly irreversible descent.
Family reunions in Atlanta that can't utilize the Gateway Center because of the limited capacity. The Gateway to pretend basketball, it holds 3,500 people. And somehow, Angel Reese, big star. Somehow, the big star could not sell 3,500 tickets.
Another significant and often overlooked part of the Sky's systemic struggles this season, and a massive factor in the complex narrative surrounding the star player, is the unrelenting, almost suffocating media circus that has coalesced around her and her dominant rival. This rivalry was initially hyped, pushed, and marketed as one of the league's most exciting new narratives, meticulously designed to elevate both the Sky franchise and the star specifically, to bring new eyes, new audiences, and unprecedented engagement to the game. But let's be brutally honest, it simply hasn't worked as intended. All this forced, manufactured rivalry narrative has done is overshadow and ultimately diminish the rest of the team, the very players who could and absolutely should be stepping up and filling critical roles, making their own impactful contributions.
Ironically enough, that's probably a good thing for Angel Reese. With the way she played last night, you don't want 3,500 people witnessing that performance. But the dreadful performance from Angel Reese, that's not the real story here. Matter of fact, that's just the norm. The real story is the Chicago Bravado losing patience with Angel Reese.
There are other talented athletes on this roster, players with immense skill, dedication, and untapped potential, but they're consistently buried beneath the relentless headlines, the endless talking points, and the immense, almost unfair pressure that comes with the star being the designated face of the franchise. This is the inherent, unavoidable problem with being given too much, too soon, before true readiness. This is the profound issue with mainstream media attempting to manufacture a rivalry between two players when, at least for now, one player was clearly, demonstrably ready for the prime time, ready for the immediate demands of professional play, while the other had a whole lot to learn and is still learning under an unbearable, unforgiving microscope.
Possible it might happen once or twice, but it's not something that happens often. And in the case of Angel Reese, it damn sure doesn't happen in back-to-back games.
For the teammates, for the hardworking, under-recognized players on the Sky roster, how long before that disproportionate focus, that constant external narrative starts to breed not just resentment, but a crushing sense of unfairness, a pervasive feeling that their tireless efforts are being overlooked, undervalued, and ignored? It's incredibly difficult, almost impossible, to build authentic chemistry, to foster a truly cohesive, selfless unit when there's so much external focus concentrated on one individual, and that individual individual isn't consistently delivering the on-court production that warrants such a spotlight. The star player's performance in this game, or rather her stark, undeniable lack of one, isn't just a simple reflection of her own individual struggles. It eerily mirrors the team's overall dysfunction, their visible disarray.
Angel Reese followed what I thought was her best performance of the season with another typically dreadful performance.
The pervasive chemistry problems, the glaringly lackluster execution in critical moments, the repeated, almost predictable inability to produce when it matters most. That's the Chicago Sky right now, a team struggling to find its identity. Of course, the star player is not blameless. She willingly fed into the narrative that she was a big star, and undeniably, she is a big star on social media, a cultural phenomenon. But once you step onto the court, the likes and the retweets from those distant, admiring lonely men, they simply don't appear on the stat sheet. They don't provide assists, they don't set screens, and they certainly don't hold the ladder to make it easier for you to make layups. It creates a stark, sometimes painfully brutal contrast between the widely publicized perception of a star and the harsh, undeniable on-court reality. It's hard to look at their season, at this recent humiliating loss, and feel like they've got a clear, viable solution in sight. Unless major changes come, and come fast. This isn't just about a few tough losses or a struggling individual. It's about the very future of a franchise that feels like it's heading into incredibly dangerous, uncharted territory, with no clear path out of the wilderness, no obvious way to right the ship.
Of course, Angel Reese is not blameless. She fed into the narrative that she was a big star. And she is a big star on social media, but once you step on the court, likes, retweets from lonely men, they don't appear on the stat sheet. Lonely men are not allowed to hold the ladder to make it easier for you to make layups.
So, with all these unsettling revelations laid bare, what happens now? It is exceedingly rare, almost unprecedented, to see general managers in professional sports being this blunt, this public about their star player, especially one with this player's immense cultural profile and media magnetism. Head coach Tyler Marsh attempted to deflect some of the intense criticism, bravely claiming responsibility for her struggles and insisting they needed to create better looks for her on the court. But most of these looks are, frankly, wide open, uncontested opportunities that any professional player should convert. It doesn't get better or easier than that. Not to mention, you're simply not supposed to have to worry about creating looks for your star player. Your star player is supposed to use their unique talent, their presence, their gravity to create opportunities for and elevate the rest of the team. This stark contrast between the coach's public support and the general manager's brutal, unwavering verdict paints a deeply troubling picture of internal discord, of a fundamental disagreement on strategy and player evaluation.
It is rare to see GMs being this blunt about their star player. Head coach Tyler Marsh, he tried to take some of the heat off Angel Reese. He claimed some of the responsibility for her dreadful season by claiming that they need to create better looks for her on the court.
The star player's struggles are more than just a rough patch, more than a temporary slump. They're a stark, undeniable reflection of the Chicago Sky's deeper, systemic issues as a team, a collective unit, with a roster seemingly lacking cohesion, an organization visibly, openly losing patience, and a star struggling under the crushing weight of immense self-imposed expectations. All eyes are now intensely focused on this player. The pressure is on her to step up, to finally deliver on the promise, to justify the immense investment and attention, or risk becoming the central figure in an inevitable, painful trade discussion that could reshape the entire franchise. The coach's desperate call for more production only adds to the immense pressure, creating an almost unsustainable burden. If the player can't deliver and deliver soon, her future with the team could be in serious, immediate jeopardy, facing a drastic, sudden change of scenery. The Sky are at a pivotal, perhaps existential crossroads. Will they make the tough, perhaps ruthless decisions needed to salvage their season and their long-term future? Or is this just the ominous, deeply concerning beginning of something far worse? A long, drawn-out decline for a franchise that promised so much, but seems destined to deliver only disappointment? Keep watching, because things are heating up, and the next chapter in this unfolding high-stakes drama promises to be even more explosive, more revelatory, and more shocking than anything we've seen so far.